The post said, "Free grandma, comes with furniture, talks too much, needs daily meds, pick up only, LOL." It had a photo of her living room, her couch, her bookshelf, her reading lamp with the cracked shade she never got around to fixing. 340 people shared it before Tuesday was over. Margaret Bellwood was 74. She had taught high school English for 38 years. She had buried a husband, raised 2 children, and read every book in the Cedar Falls Public Library. She found out about the post when her neighbor Helen knocked on the door, holding a phone like it was something dead. Helen's hands were shaking. "Margaret, I need to show you something, and I need you to sit down first." Margaret sat. Not because Helen told her to, because Helen's face looked the way it did the morning she came over to say that Richard had died. Helen turned the phone around. Margaret put on her glasses. She read it once. She read it again. The profile picture next to the post was Kyle, her grandson. 28 years old, unemployed since March, living with his girlfriend in a studio apartment 40 minutes away. Margaret had been sending him $200 a month since he lost his job. The photo he'd used was her living room. The angle was from the hallway, taken from inside her house. He had stood in her home, looked at her life, and turned it into a joke. She set Helen's phone on the table. No tears, just her hands folded in her lap, the way she used to sit when a student said something cruel in class, and she needed 3 seconds before responding. What most people didn't know about Margaret was the trust. Richard had set it up 11 years before he died, a careful man, a man who read contracts the way other men read sports pages. The trust held $47,000, a combination of savings, a small life insurance policy, and the equity from their first house on Elm Street. It was meant for Margaret, specifically, exclusively for Margaret. The trustee was a lawyer named Whitfield, same man who'd handled Richard's will. Kyle knew about the trust. He'd asked about it twice in the last year. Both times, Margaret had said the same thing. "That money is for my care, Kyle, when I need it." Kyle had smiled both times, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. The post wasn't a joke. Margaret didn't know it yet, but Kyle had already contacted 3 nursing homes in the county. He'd requested pricing. He'd asked about Medicaid eligibility. If Margaret went into a facility, the trust could be challenged. Kyle had read that somewhere online. He had a plan. The Facebook post was step 1. Make her look incompetent. Make her look like a burden. By Wednesday, the post had 340 shares and over 600 comments. Most of them were laughing. Some of them were disgusted. A few tagged their own grandmothers with crying laughing emojis. One comment stood out. A woman named Dana Clifford wrote, "Wait, Bellwood, did she teach at Cedar Falls High?" 14 people replied yes. Dana's next comment was longer. "Mrs. Bellwood was my English teacher in 2003. She stayed after school with me every day for 2 months because I couldn't read past a 5th grade level. I graduated because of her. This post makes me sick." That comment got more shares than Kyle's original post. Margaret knew nothing about any of this. She didn't have Facebook. She didn't have a smartphone. She had a landline, a library card, and a television she only turned on for the weather. The phone rang Thursday morning. A woman's voice said she was a reporter from the county paper. "Mrs. Bellwood, I'm calling about a social media post involving your grandson. Would you like to comment?" Margaret hung up. Helen came over again that afternoon. This time she brought soup and a printed stack of papers. She spread them on the kitchen table. "These are the comments, Margaret, from your students. Former students. Hundreds of them." Margaret looked at the pages. Names she hadn't heard in decades. One wrote, "She gave me my first copy of To Kill a Mockingbird." She wrote inside, "For Sarah, who is braver than she knows. I still have it. Another, Mrs. Bellwood called my house when I stopped showing up. She was the only teacher who noticed. Margaret read them slowly. Her coffee went cold. She didn't touch the soup. At the bottom of the stack, Helen had circled one name, James Whitaker, class of 2001, now a prosecuting attorney in Des Moines. His comment was 3 words, I remember her. Helen tapped the page. He wants to help Margaret. Margaret looked at her. Help with what? Helen sat down across from her. Margaret, Kyle has been calling nursing homes. I heard it from Darlene at the front desk of Meadowbrook. He asked about pricing. He asked about your trust. The kitchen was quiet. The clock above the stove ticked. Margaret looked at the stack of printed comments, then at Helen. Call Mr. Whitaker.
James Whitaker drove to Cedar Falls on Saturday. He was 41 now, tall, quiet, the kind of lawyer who listened more than he talked. Margaret recognized his eyes before she recognized anything else. Same boy who sat in the back row and never raised his hand, but wrote essays that made her stay up past midnight reading them. He sat at her kitchen table and opened a folder. Mrs. Bellwood, I pulled the trust documents from Mr. Whitfield's office. Your late husband was a very careful man. She nodded. Richard read everything. James turned to a page near the back. Clause 14b. He pointed. It says here, if any named or potential beneficiary attempts to relocate the primary beneficiary against her expressed wishes, or takes action to have her declared incapacitated with medical basis, said beneficiary forfeits all claim to the trust and its residual assets, permanently. Margaret looked at the page. James leaned forward. Your husband knew Mrs. Bellwood. He knew someone might try this, and he made sure they couldn't. She touched the edge of the document, Richard's signature at the bottom, small and precise, the way he signed everything. He never told me about that clause. James closed the folder. He didn't have to. He just had to make sure it was there.
On Monday, James filed 2 things. First, a formal letter to Kyle Bellwood, informing him that his actions, the Facebook post, the nursing home inquiries, and the attempt to access trust information constituted grounds for permanent forfeiture under Clause 14b. Second, a referral to Adult Protective Services for suspected elder financial exploitation. Kyle called Margaret that evening, first time in 3 months. Grandma, listen, that post was a joke. I was just messing around. You know I love you. Can we just talk about this? Margaret held the phone. She could hear the television in the background at his girlfriend's apartment, a game show, applause. She said one sentence. You stood in my house, Kyle. You took a picture of my life, and you put a price tag on me. Free. Kyle started talking faster. His voice went high. He said words like misunderstanding and overreaction and family. Margaret set the phone down. She didn't hang up. She just set it on the counter and let him talk to the empty kitchen.
The county paper ran the story on Wednesday. Not about the post, about Margaret. The headline read, Former Cedar Falls teacher receives outpouring after grandson's viral post. The article mentioned 38 years of teaching. It mentioned the stack of comments from former students. It mentioned Dana Clifford, who had organized a letter-writing campaign. 412 letters arrived at Margaret's house that week, from students she taught in the 70s, from parents who remembered her staying late, from a man in Oregon who said Mrs. Bellwood's class was the reason he went to college. She read every single one. Kyle's name was not in the article. James had made sure of that. This was not about punishment. This was about something else. On Friday, the principal of Cedar Falls High called Margaret. Mrs. Bellwood, the school board voted unanimously. We'd like to name the new library wing after you, the Bellwood Reading Room. Margaret was quiet for a long time.
she said. "I'd like that very much."
Kyle lost the trust. All of it. Clause 14B. Permanent. The $47,000 stayed exactly where Richard had put it, in Margaret's name, for Margaret's care. Untouchable. Adult Protective Services opened a file. Kyle was required to complete 20 hours of elder awareness training. His girlfriend left him 2 weeks later, after the county paper story made it to Reddit. Margaret did not gloat. She did not call Kyle. She did not post anything online because she still didn't have a Facebook account and had no intention of getting one. She went back to her routine: library on Mondays, soup with Helen on Thursdays, the reading lamp with the cracked shade, still unfixed. James Whitaker visited once a month. He brought his daughter sometimes, a quiet girl, 10 years old, who liked books. Margaret gave her a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. She wrote inside the cover the same thing she'd written 100 times before, to 100 different students, in her small, careful handwriting.
The Bellwood Reading Room opened in October. They invited her to cut the ribbon. She wore the blue dress she'd worn to Richard's retirement dinner 15 years ago. Still fit. She'd kept it in the back of the closet, wrapped in tissue paper, for an occasion that mattered. 400 people showed up. Former students, teachers, parents with children who would never sit in Margaret's classroom but would read books with her name on the wall. She didn't give a speech. They asked her to. She said no. She stood in the doorway of the reading room and looked at the shelves. New books, good light. A window facing east, the way she always liked it. Morning sun on the pages. Someone had placed a small brass plaque by the entrance. It read, "For Margaret Bellwood, who never stopped believing that every student deserved one person who noticed." She touched it once. Then she went home. The reading lamp was still on when she sat down that evening. Same cracked shade, same chair. She picked up her book, found her page. The house was quiet, and it was hers.